Here's a simple drill. This is just a PBU drill. All right. You can see I start out with 3 cones. All right. The 2 outside cones are 5 yards apart, and there's a cone in the middle that splits the difference at 2.5. All right. I put footballs in the hands of the outside guys, and those guys represent receivers. All right. I put a defensive back in the middle, and I'm right in the middle of the drill. So I'll be throwing I'll simulate throwing the ball. So the DB has to key me and get a directional key. All right, well, I turn here to this receiver, all right, or I turn here to this receiver, and he's got to get that delivery key before he breaks on the ball. So, again, he's looking at me, and this is just simulating the receiver coming straight off the line, all right, and breaking either out or in, or really is out on both sides, all right? Just out on both sides. So, as you can see here, we start with our pace, all right, so we'll pedal here. All right, nice and under control. And again, if he's breaking to his left, like he is in this picture, all right, he should plant the right foot. You can see his feet is underneath him. All right, he's got his feet underneath. He didn't reach back. All right, so he's got good power where he can accelerate out of that break. He points his eyes. All right, he does a good job right here of pointing his eyes. All right, his eyes go from me as a coach to point his eyes on the ball now, and now he can accelerate and go make a play violently through the hands. Go play the hands. There you go. Punch it through the hands. All right. He does a decent job of not winding it so much. All right. Because, again, when you wind it, all right, you just help secure that catch. So I always emphasize punching through the hands, going straight out, all right, as opposed to swiping over the top. All right. And you can see he's being violent. He's doing a good job. I didn't want him to make collisions on this day because we don't have on pads. But as we go to punch that ball out, we also want to be able to secure the tackle as well. All right, but that's a good job of backpedaling. All right, when he plant and drive, point your toe, point your eyes, accelerate, and play violently through the hands. Good look at it right there. Same player right here. All right. This is the same player. Now he's in a one-on-one drill, all right? And you can see him using this pace, so he starts out slow, all right? He's got man eyes. He's playing man coverage, so he's got man eyes. Eyes are locked in on the belt buckle of that receiver, all right? He's got good inside leverage, understanding that the split of the receiver, all right, he can only threaten me inside, all right? There's not a lot he can do on the outside over there, all right? He's using the pace, all right? But the thing that I really like about this is that he holds the pedal. All right, I mentioned that in a few slides earlier, that he's got to hold that pedal, all right, until he breaks my cushion. He's holding that pedal. Now he plants, drive, same player playing the hands of that receiver violently, punching it out. You can see he didn't wind it up to try to swat it down, all right. He went straight through, punched through the hands of that receiver and made a great play. That's a good job by him there. Here it is from the end zone copy, all right? You can also see him using a slight weave, all right? In our footwork and change of direction drills session, we talked about using the weave, all right? When we talked about our off-man session, we talked about using the weave if that receiver comes off the line and tries to stem and attack my leverage, all right? He understands that the DB has inside leverage. For that receiver to win, he's got to get inside leverage. And you can see the corner does an outstanding job of maintaining that leverage, all right? You can see the receiver starts out top of the numbers, all right? Now he's about -2, all right? Now he's 2 yards inside of the numbers, all right? So that DB had to use a weave. He stayed inside and, again, points his toe, points his eyes, accelerate, and play the hands of that receiver. That's a really good job. Really good job. All right, let's focus on the corner up top. All right, he does a good job, again, of keeping the ball in front. He's using the pace. All right, sped it up. Again, he understands the situation right here. All right, and he's able to break downhill and play the hands of that receiver. All right, the receiver's hands go up. He's got to punch violently through the hands and make a play. Good job there. One more look at it. Corner at the bottom. He's playing man coverage. All right. He's got his eyes on his man. All right. Looks back a little bit at the top of the route, but he does have a good angle out of his break. He's still coming downhill, all right? One thing that I always do, I always teach downhill angles, always teach deep angles. Rarely do I talk 90-degree angles with my guys because I feel if I'm in front of that route, all right, the route is in front of me, everything I should do should be breaking downhill. So he does it. He does break downhill, which allows him to make a play on the football there. Again, he wants to attack the ball at the highest point, all right? Don't wait on it. Go up and get it. Get those hands out in front, and I think that's important as well. Don't wait on it to come to your body. Get those hands out in front. Go attack the football. Keep it away from that receiver. So pin and wheel technique. Again, this technique is used when I have inside leverage on the receiver, all right? Or I could be on the outside, and that receiver wants to try to throw me by, all right? If he throw me by, what I want to do with my hand, all right, my near hand, I want to pin his hips, all right? I want to pin his hips as he tries to throw me by, all right? And now he tries to go behind. I want to wheel my hips around and be able to stay in phase with that receiver, stay in a control position. So as you see here, the DB is number 16 in this picture, the inside guy. The inside, all right, is to the right of the screen as we see it, all right? So 16 is the defensive back here, all right? And I just have him start hip to hip. He's looking at that receiver's hip right now, all right? And now I just want to pin that hip, all right? Pin it. He's trying to throw me by, all right? I want to pin the hip of that receiver, pin it, all right? And now I want to wheel my hips around and now pin the top hip. All right, and what I call the top hip is the hip that's going down the field. All right, and I try not to say upfield because if I'm blitzing off the edge as a corner coming off the edge or something like that, we're telling them upfield shoulder. All right, but this shoulder is going downfield, so I tell them to stay on top, the top shoulder. So now I should pin the inside hip, wheel my hips around to pin the top hip now. Now he's on top of the route. He's got the top hip pinned. All right, does a great job right here. Pin the hip, wheel my hips around, pin the top hip. All right, pin the top hip. So let's take a look at the corner down at the bottom now, executing the pin and wheel technique. All right, he's inside leverage. Receiver's outside. Receiver tries to throw him by. All right, and now he executes pin and wheel. Pin and wheel. Pin that hip, wheel my hips around. All right, he does a really, really good job there. All right, and he will be in a great position. If they were to throw this ball to this receiver, this DB is in great shape to be able to make a play on the ball. Pin and flatten. Talked about pin and flatten. Just being able to flatten the route out and not let that route continue to climb and get up the field. You can see the DB does not a great job at the line of scrimmage, all right, but the stem phase, he is pinning that route, all right, and trying to flatten it out to where he's got safety help, squeezing it as much as he can, flatten it out.